The Thought Leadership podcast guesting journey is a 3-step process. First step is validation. Can I create interesting content? Am I interesting? Is my story interesting? Can I find hosts that will be interested in me? Can I find an audience? The second step is building a funnel around that journey, converting a lot of that attention into business. And then the third step is becoming a thought leader, the inbound, getting global recognition, etc. Now, in all of this process, there's a common factor, which is that you need to get your audience to your site, ideally, over the line. And over the line means giving you their email address, because if they don't give you their email address, you'll never, ever hear from that person again. They will disappear. So in many cases, you and I have probably done a number of public speaking gigs. I'm talking about old-fashioned public speaking. Those conferences that people used to go to, where you get invited as a speaker, a keynote, or a panelist. There's a lot of preparation, there's travel time. It's a day lost out of the office. And you go and do the speaking gig, and then afterwards you get that line of people that come up to you with their business cards. They're all kind of holding their business cards out, and you can see people at the corner of your eye queuing up. Those are the good ones. I admit I've done public presentations when nobody has come up at the end of it. It's been like tumbleweed, crickets. But the ones where you do engage the audience and you get that kind of real interaction and people come up to you at the end of it, what tends to happen is they give you the cards. It's all very exciting. I really loved what you do. And then Monday morning, crickets. That's the tumbleweed. Nothing. Nobody ever really follows up. You don't get any sort of conversions from that. And you realize that a lot of that conference speaking is ego massage. Unless you're getting paid for it, there isn't really a lot of benefit to the speaker themselves, because it's very difficult to convert that into business. And one of the reasons is that there's a step missing between what they are kind of courting you with as an audience, saying, yeah, we'd love to have you as a speaker, or come and talk to our team, or I'm interested in you consulting to our company, and simply handing out a card at the end of a conference, because the excitement is very, very high. The missing part, and this is where really podcasts come in, is because it all takes place in the digital format, and it's easy to convert straight away. You're not having to wait till Monday morning to get back to the office when, already the interest has died off. You can do it straight away, and you can do a podcast guesting slot, and you can get that listener from that point of listening to you straight to your newsletter list. And the missing link is the lead magnet. Now, I'm going to use internet marketing terms here, and we all have to kind of get on board with the journey. Otherwise, we're going to get left behind. And if you listen to my episode about the attention economy, the key here that we have to take on board is that we can't assume that having an interesting story or writing a book is enough anymore. We need to get those listeners who are interested onto a newsletter, and we need to nurture the relationship with them over time. And internet marketers will call this a nurture sequence, which is often a short burst of emails that they receive from you, having downloaded a lead magnet. And the point of that is, when they download the lead magnet, their interest is highest. That's the point in which they're very, very interested in you, your backstory, everything about you. And as the seconds, hours, days tick by, the interest drops off. So you've got to keep that interest high and keep them on board. Some will commit in the first week of being on your newsletter list, but often not. Often 80% will commit over the following years, literally, in some cases, especially if you're in conceptual sale, B2B sale, especially if you're a thought leader selling a high ticket item. So what is a lead magnet? I've talked about it. What exactly is it? A lead magnet is a short, because that's really important, piece of content that will get your audience on your website to give you their email address. And that's the deal. They give you the email address. They get the lead magnet, they go onto your newsletter. Everybody knows that's the deal. And you see this everywhere and you think, oh, that looks a bit salesy, but it works. it works. And that's what you're competing with. So what makes a good lead magnet? Well, you can take any kind of content and give away a short ebook. It could be as simple as a video. Now, let's talk about the minimum that you can do here. I don't want you writing another book. That's another 2 years out of your life. I've done it. You may have done it. You may be considering it. If you've done it, well done you. But let's not do it again. Let's not do this again just to get some email addresses. Let's keep this really, really simple. So if you've written a book, you could take a chapter and give that away. If you've done a podcast, you could transcribe it and give it away as a 12-page PDF. You can give away what's called a content upgrade. Now, a content upgrade, because they could be reading, for example, the transcript of a podcast that you've done. And that's, again, 12 pages of content there. They could be reading a transcript on your blog post, and there could be a button here saying, get my 10 tips, or here is a cheat sheet list of resources if you are interested in measuring, psychological testing for your team. So it could just be a single page with 20 links on it. That's so easy. But what you find is that if you are doing it in context at the time they're actually reading it or the time they're listening to your podcast, then the conversion rate is very high. They're more than happy to download a single page, which is unformatted, unbeautified, and for it to be of value to them. So, one of the lead magnets that we've used in the past is a list of microphone resources for our podcast agency. People like it. It's not a beautiful list. It's just a Word document reformatted as a PDF. But at the time they're actually reading it, it's valuable. That's the point. You want to get them when the interest is really high and not try and be perfect, writing the whole book or creating this beautiful report that you're going to give away. So a chapter of your book, a 12-page transcript, a content upgrade works really well. You can also give away bonus podcast episodes. People love exclusive content. Get my 15-minute behind the scenes. Get my 3-part audio course. Whatever it is that you're good at doing, easy to create. Don't do any extra work. Take what you've done already. Get the video of this podcast. Go to my website, hand over your email address, get access to a post which has an embed for YouTube video, which is listed as private, so you can't access it from YouTube, but on your website you can see it unlisted. Easy. It's a content upgrade. You can create your own video. If you're pushing stuff out on social media, you can use that as well. There are many options that you could use to create lead magnets. Some people do courses, some people do books, some people do videos, some people do Excel spreadsheets, which may have formula in them. Some people may offer up a piece of software, whatever it is. But that is the most important thing for you to get from step 1 to step 3. You've got to build a list. You've got to build a following. And remember, we talked about in episode 1, the compounding effect of building a newsletter. The compounding meaning is that, let's say you start a newsletter and you can add in 50 people from your network onto that newsletter just by manually adding them. The next 50 you're going to get from the website, people who sign up through the lead magnet. All of them get access to the lead magnet. Now, if you can get 100 people onto that newsletter who listen to podcasts, every time you do a new podcast and you send it back to the newsletter, hey, check out my new appearance on the HR Live podcast talking about the future of work. They're interested in the future of work. They listen to podcasts. That will send 100 people potentially back to that podcast, spike their audience numbers. That's going to do so many things for you. Firstly, it will re-engage that audience, that audience avatar that you've defined. It will also help the host, make you seem like you have influence. And, maybe the host will want you back again. And it will also create new touch points for that audience to interact with you. I read your lead magnet. I listened to the podcast. Now I'm reaching out to you. And that is the aim of the game. That's where we've got to get to. But don't miss this link, the lead magnet that binds it all together. Keep it easy. Don't overdo the work in creating a lead magnet. It's something very simple, can be extremely effective.